Another day, another Attack on Titan video, but don't worry, I only have one more AOT video after this one, and then I'll try and do some different content just to spice it up a little bit. Alright, don't throw rocks at me, it's okay. There's more content coming. Today I wanted to have some sort of an open conversation, just to open up a dialogue to talk about a couple of different things regarding the future of Attack on Titan. More specifically, obviously, its ending and where the story is currently going. There's a couple of things that I want to focus on specifically today. This would be what is going to happen with Eren, what will the world look like, and do Eldians and Marleyans potentially get along to some extent? Now yes, they are extremely loaded questions, and we don't really know what to expect or what could happen within now and the upcoming chapter and the chapters after. But it's always fun to speculate, and it's always fun to paint some sort of speculative picture. I want to start off with Eren, with the story of Eren Yeager coming to a conclusion. What is going to happen to him specifically? Does he live a fruitful life after all of this? Does he disappear into the world but still alive? Or does he meet a pretty tragic demise? A lot of people have a lot of different interpretations for this, and I really like this conversation that people have with it because there's so many different things with the information that we have now, which is only a little bit, on where Eren's story could truly conclude. I've seen a lot of interesting takes for this, with him living, with him surviving but disappearing into the existence, him being stuck in Ymir's place, which was a personal favorite of mine, which I talked about ages back when that whole thing came into relevancy regarding Ymir and the replacement for her and Eren taking the position. So there's a lot of different things. Currently at the moment, I've always been on the side that Eren is not going to live by the end of the story, and I know a lot of people do not like this ending. I know a lot of people are mentioning the Code Geass ending, but in reality, they may share some similar traits, but they're completely different. The emotion behind Eren is completely different to anything related to Code Geass. The global aspect is even completely different. The ripple effect that this will have on society is completely different. If Eren goes through with what he wants to do, this doesn't just change a nation, this doesn't just change a certain amount of people, this affects human life as we know it. This could easily bring it to a halt. The possibility of humans not existing after this is a very big thing. That's how much of an effect this has on the world. But there's only taking things at a surface level. We don't know what this destruction will cause in terms of supernatural disasters. Storms, cyclones, tornadoes, tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, very trivial things that you don't realistically think about, but all things that have to be somewhat accounted for. Even though Eren is trying to free his people, even though he's doing this out of the betterment for his people, is he really setting them free if the world outside of paradise is completely destroyed and uninhabitable? If he causes so much destruction where these superstorms, super tornadoes, cyclones, tsunamis, etc. come into play and wipe out his own people, that'd be rather redundant. The only way to somewhat work around that is that if Eren uses his ability to create a new kingdom, and I really don't see Attack on Titan going down that path. It's definitely a possibility, but in the context of the story, I don't really feel like it would be fitting. And with that, I don't see Eren being at the center of it all, living out his entire life on a wasteland of a planet. That in itself seems like an extremely shallow ending. We do have something to go off, however, regarding the future of Titan Shifters and the ability itself with that final panel that we got for the story. It was that of a baby, the words, "You are free," or "We are free." With this, we can somewhat reverse engineer a theory that the Titan shifting ability is no longer going to exist, so what does Eren have to do to make that a possibility? Can he even bring that to reality without some sort of sacrifice? And it sounds like a little bit of a proxy in that regard, or a little bit of a cop-out, but for me, I don't see Eren living past all of this for the sole reason that it tailors a story in a somewhat bittersweet type of ending, on too much of a lighter note. Bittersweet is somewhat okay, but when it's on the lighter side of all of that, it kind of devalues everything that just happened. So just to put that into perspective so it makes a little bit more sense, imagine the Earth being killed. Billions upon billions of innocent people across the globe that are not part of this war. I don't know why people think everyone is a part of this war, or everyone hates Eldians. That is not the case. We've only seen very, very tiny, specific places and people across the globe that do not like Eldians. And that yes, it is an ideology that's spread outside inside of Marley, and that is forced upon children every single generation cycle. Yet there is so many people on this earth, and not every single one of them know about Eldians. Not every single one of them hate Eldians. I'm sure there's people out there that even forgive them. I'm sure there's even more people out there that are in support of Eldians, that don't like the way that they're being treated. Imagine all those innocent people dying and then Eren living by the end of the story and Titan Shifters not existing. It sounds a little bit shallow, don't you think? Now that just could be me, but an ending like that doesn't really seem satisfying. Nothing really comes to a conclusion. The earth is on fire, billions of people are dead, the Titan shifting ability is gone, you can't even save yourself if you want to from these catastrophic weather events, so you're somewhat of a sitting duck. It's a little bit too abrupt for my taste. However, with the disappearance of Titan Shifters, that pushes for a different conversation and a different future. I don't see Eren living by the end of the story, just with what he's built himself up to be right now. Unless he disappears, which is the equivalent of him somewhat dying, vanishes from existence. In a sense would be him being stuck in Ymir's place, taking up that mantle so no one else could ever have Titan shifting abilities again, would be somewhat fitting. Even though he's pushed so hard to set his people free and potentially has given that opportunity for them, and open up that line of conversation with Marlians and the rest of the world, because of the cost of all of that, what he has put people through, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a massive price to pay for it. And being stuck in Ymir's place, as the mantle of the Titan ability, he can see and overlook everyone, but he can't thrive in that freedom. He can't be there with them. But he makes sure that the ability doesn't get out ever again, and that people won't turn into Titans. The other side is that he just generally dies. That the people that are currently building up against him right now, which is some of his closest friends and allies, are actually going to kill him. I assume it would be an extremely difficult thing to do, so changing his mind is probably the best course of action, considering the Titan shifting ability has to disappear to some degree. And that's only based on the reverse engineering of the final panel, with the child being born with supposedly no Titan shifting abilities. There's a lot of opportunities for the future of Eren, and the world realistically is not going to look all that much better than what it does now, but it definitely can look a whole lot worse. The biggest thing to come from all of this is the future of the human race, the future of Eldians and Marlians specifically. What happens here? What moves forward from here? What type of potential peace or dialogue can be opened from all of this? I heavily feel that a lot of people are not going to like how the ending's going to take place. I don't think Eldians and Marlians are going to be sitting around a campfire drinking Coronas and singing Kumbaya till the sun comes up, but there is a common connection with them. There is a common connection to move forward with the human race and to be free, to be equal to some degree. The biggest thing that holds all of this hatred together, that continues it every single generation of children that come through, is they teach them that they are devils because of the blood that allows them to have Titan shifting abilities, that turns them into these monsters. If we take away the monster part of it, if we take away the Titan ability, the hatred's still going to be there, but the insurance, the want to continuing this cycle of hatred slowly starts to lose its weight. You don't have to be as scared of these people anymore because they don't have these incredible abilities. They don't have these scary abilities. They're just regular people now, with blood that is, yes, deemed cursed and has a massive history of stigma behind it, but reform and change can take place. It's not a completely foreign concept. It's difficult, it will take time, but with the right people talking to one another, something can happen from the combination of their strength to take down a bigger threat. The one thing that will save the human race, the one thing that will save this planet from being absolutely decimated, is the one power that they're scared of, is the blood that they're scared of. It equals out rather interestingly when you think about it. The thing they're so scared of is going to kill billions of people on Earth and end life as we know it, but it can also save them. When you're pushed into a corner like that, what option are you going to take? Are you going to double down on your hatred to that one thing and allow billions of people to die? Or are you going to push aside your hatred for the moment and side with the people that you hate that also want to take out that power, that also see that using the power in that way, shape or form is a bad thing and will bring forth the fall of humanity? Working together doesn't come lightly, it doesn't come easily either, but can easily open up a conversation to continue working with one another into the future. If they can see that they can work with them with Titan shifting abilities to take out a bigger threat, imagine what it would be like without the Titan shifting abilities. Would they wholeheartedly continue to subjugate them, or would they start to slowly rethink their decisions? It always depends on who has the position of power, who is in control of all of this. If there's some sort of future for Eldians outside of paradise, it comes in the form of very powerful people changing the minds of other powerful people and show showcasing this very specific event right now that the Eldians are the ones that saved humanity, can be used as a very big bargaining chip for safety, for peace, to be left alone. They can even promise that the Titan shifting ability is no longer going to be a thing, however that comes into play. I don't think paradise is going to be there by the end of the story. I think the island's going to be absolutely obliterated, or at least uninhabitable to a certain degree. If it's true that the political heads are all gathered up in Mali at the moment and Eren wipes that out, you have a massive amount of power just gone, disappeared. There's definitely a lot of different ways that it can go. People could hate it, people could love it, but there's a lot of ideas that could easily be a possibility. Nothing is really out of reach at the moment. Whether you like it or not is a different story, and only time will tell what actually happens with Eren, what happens with the world, and what happens with the future of Eldians. At the moment, it's hard for me to see Eldians still being treated the same as what they once were. And like I said, the hatred is not going to disappear, but the step forward to change it could easily take place. In the midst of all of this, it's a hope that people are willing to ride on. It's a hope for a better future, a future where everyone lives. So with that being said, that is basically it. Let me know what you think is going to happen regarding the ending of the story. What do you think is going to happen with Eren? What do you think the world's going to look like? And what does the future hold for Eldians and even Malians? I'd really love to hear your thoughts. But I'm actually going to end the video off here. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.